There was no reason to stop. So why did you stop her?
Right.
There had to be some kind of dialogue, and if it wasn't, then what's the basis of your relationship?
I can't think of
anything.
So
somebody here is telling less than the whole truth. So help them God.
Yeah. Oh, we'll follow this. It's so interesting. There doesn't seem to be, even after the story's been out for quite some time, any reason why these two people were stopped?
Any reason at all? Being that they had both made the purchases, there was no, as I said, red flag. There was no suspicion here. Something's wrong with the card. They had left the store on both occasions. So what was the of the stop? And if you're saying NYPD has total control of the stores, that's interesting. If they don't, then you've got to explain that. And the other thing that I asked in the first meeting, and we'll follow up on Friday, is show me where other people have been stopped like this. Why is this pattern only people of color? And that they've not answered at all in this audit.
Good questions. Okay, now to Afghanistan. The drawdown of U.S. troops from Afghanistan was supposed to be completed in 2014, but new documents obtained by NBC News show the U.S. is now prepared to maintain military outposts in that country for years to come. According to the documents, American troops could stay until 2024, while the U.S. pays to support hundreds of thousands of Afghan security forces. NBC's chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, is live in the Afghan capital. Richard, give us a sense of more of what these documents say.
These documents describe a deal that is still being worked out, a deal that is being negotiated between the Afghan government and the United States government that would leave a residual force in this country primarily responsible for training the Afghan security forces. The administration, the White House, has long said there might be some sort of residual force after the end of combat operations, which are supposed to end in 2014. But until you see this document and you read it, and we posted it online yesterday, and I believe it's still on the NBCnews.com website, you realize how extensive and how sweeping this agreement would be, with bases here that could be used exclusively by U.S. personnel, agreements that would have specific taxation laws for contractors, the financial commitments of the United States paying for the Afghan security forces without any time limit on it, and the clauses that would allow Americans to stay here in this country not just until 2024, but beyond. Actually, after 2024, this agreement would be automatically renewable unless one of the two parties, the United States or the Afghan government, submitted in writing a request to cancel it, and then only then, after that submission was submitted, it would take 2 years to cancel the agreement. So it shows that there was a very large and concerted effort to keep a sophisticated relationship going beyond the 2014.
Beyond the date. Richard, I know there's a delay. I'll just ask you one brief question. Is there anything in the documents that would indicate that we will ever leave?
Ever leave?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Okay.
There are some indications that say when Afghanistan is perfectly ready and is secure, then we will strive to maintain, sovereignty, and we will respect the sovereignty of Afghanistan. But the thrust of this document is to stay. The reading in between the lines, this is a document to stay behind, to partner with the government, and to keep some sort of bases which would actually be Afghan bases that the United States would be allowed to stay on rent-free.
NBC's Richard Engel, live in Kabul. Thank you very much, Ben. It sounds like the answer to my question is never at this point.
Well, I mean, I think, the Obama administration has continued under resolutions passed really right after 9/11, this very global military posture. You had raids in Somalia, in Libya, against groups that didn't exist on 9/11, under the argument that they were still covered by the authorization for the use of military force in Afghanistan. And so I think, the Obama administration is still certainly operating on this notion that they are fighting this very global terror war. They have American forces, whether in bases or just conducting raids really all over the place indefinitely.
I mean, such an example, Steve, of how you can't, when you get in, there's no good way out to these types of situations, and I mean, I can't imagine, if you look at the way the documents lay out, how we would leave a scenario where Afghanistan's ever ready.
Well, I mean, just to add, the Iraqis threw us out, basically.
Well,
and the
there's
Afghans
that.
may
I
do
don't
the
think
same.
that's going to happen.
Sure, and look, it's a different set of circumstances, but we're still in Korea 60 years later
Right.
as well. Afghanistan is special. It's a very hard place. A lot of people have tried to sort of democratize it. They failed. The question, it's a tough question. Do you walk away from the investment of all this money, all these lives, and knowing that Afghanistan will almost surely collapse, or do you try to somehow see it through in a limited way? I don't envy the president having to decide that.
It's a rough one. I mean, I've always been for let's get out right away. I've disagreed with the longer timetable. But I hasten to add, this is an unsigned document that has been revealed, so we don't know if this is a suggestion or if this is real policy. And we'll have to wait and see. I hope we're not talking about staying there.
All right, Ben Smith, thank you so much. Reverend Al, you'll be back at the table when we speak with former